Yes, we are live on the Armoury TV. It is Monday, and today we're going to discuss: has the mentality, the strength in mentality, changed at Arsenal? Let's get into the intro. Let's introduce the panel, and we'll go straight into it. Yes, we are back. Further delays here on the Armoury TV as ever, but we're here now. Let's introduce my all-star panel. Let's start with the bottom corner there. Ollie, how are you, sir? It's been a while.
Happy. Arsenal keep winning. I'm a happy man.
That's it. That is it. We've got Gumsa chilling in his van. How are we doing, sir?
Happy. United keep losing. I'm a happy man.
Short and sweet and perfect. The nail on the head. Love that. Love that. And the man himself, Gunner King. How are we?
Happy Tottenham and Chelsea drop points. I've been stirring the pot amongst those two fan bases. We moved, yeah.
We do. We do. And I've gathered you all here today because I want to talk about, we've had two very different wins. And the question has to be asked. I know it's still early in the season, it's only 2 games in, and we don't want to get too carried away. But has the mentality, the strength of mentality, changed at Arsenal? And what do you think the reasons are for that? So, for example, we went to Palace, we started well, then Palace got back into the game. We were very resilient in defence, defended really, really well. And then obviously got them again late on, got the win, 2-0, job done. And then the Leicester game was very different. I felt it was very controlled. Yes, they scored 2 goals, but we answered both of those goals pretty much instantly. So I'm going to start with you, Ollie.
Well, it's a really good question, actually, isn't it? Because it's always been something that's plagued us throughout the years, especially coming to like maybe Wenger's later days. And even now, people still think we have a terrible mentality. There's people saying that obviously when Leicester scored that second goal, like they expected Arsenal to draw or even lose the game. And it was like, that's what was so brilliant about that, is that we just went, all right, we'll just turn it up a gear. And we just smashed in another goal. It was like, the Arsenal of old when we were at Highbury, where we were just solid. It was like a fortress. So, and I think you can see from the all or nothing, all of the work that's been put into bringing that mentality back into the team. And I do think we are seeing that now, that we have got a bigger mentality. We can come through those stages in games where we might have faltered in the past. Last season, we were nearly there and we nearly got the top 4 without a striker. This season, it's looking like it's starting all right, and we've got that mentality. Obviously, stronger tests to come, though.
Yeah. I was going to go to Gumsa, but we'll go to you, Gunner King.
Yes, but I don't want to, I think there have been signs of improvement. I think that's the way I will put it. Now, before we played Palace, we had only won 1 of our previous 6 games against them. And I believe that run really started with Emery, where we bottled top 4, losing to them, and then playing them in successions after that lingered. And then next thing you know, we're in this situation where they've become a bogey team. That's what, if you look at the history of Palace being a bogey team, that's how it started, like with that episode under Emery, and we lost against them last season. We know that it was costly. And I think where you've seen the improvement in mentality is we can look back on that game that we lost and what it meant for Arsenal last season. We could have turned up at Selhurst Park and just thought, do you know what, a draw will do here. We weren't good enough. For me, we were the second best team for at least 60 minutes of that game. At 1-0, another thing that I feel has made us mentally frail over the years is not going out and getting that second goal. not killing teams, and we had to soak up a lot of pressure, but we also found a way to be clinical with that one chance that we did get to get a second goal and make it comfortable. All right, it was really late in the game when they're throwing bodies forward. That for me was one of the signs that I was encouraged by. Against Leicester, there have been situations where we've been in a commanding situation. I remember last season, we were a goal up against Palace. They hadn't had a single shot on goal in the first half. We had 14. We still drew that game and was lucky to draw that game. Throwing away commanding positions has been something we've done. And I think to see us reply in such quick response after they scored twice and was looking like they had a foothold in the game, definitely is a sign that we are improving mentally. I think the lapses in concentration where we concede those goals shows that we still got to improve, though. And I think also the mentality away from home and at home is completely different. I think looking at that Palace game, and for me being the second best team for 60 minutes of it, shows that we need to take the same belief and confidence that we have at home, and we need to start battering teams away from home. We need to, and I'm not talking about winning and winning ugly. I'm talking about grabbing teams by the scruff of the neck, choking them for dear life until they're not breathing. That's what we should be doing against Palace. With the greatest respect to Palace, because Vieira is their manager, that's what we should be doing. We should be going there, and this team, on paper, compared to their team, we should be strangling the living daylights out. And if for me, that's what I'm sorry, bro. I'm not here for pleasantries, man.
I like it a lot.
This team, looking at the improvements we've made, we're good enough to be doing that. And when we are doing that, then my answer will be unequivocally yes. But at the moment, it's showing signs with improvement, but still a lot to do.
Yeah, almost like that's the next step.
Yeah. I mean, I think there was a different circumstance with the away game at Palace. It's the first game of the season in front of the cameras. The Palace fans, I mean, I saw a few interviews before the game, and they thought the game was already won for them. So I think there was a bit of mental strength shown there, in my opinion. Gumsa. Oh, he's frozen again. We'll give him 2 seconds.
Technical issues.
Yeah. It's probably started raining over there or something. Munsey Talks is giving it the old blah, 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 but he's a Man United fan, so that's...
Wait. Why are Man United fans talking?
I don't know. It's a big up, though, and he's loving your touch there, Oli. So we'll let him in just for a moment. No, I think Gumsa was definitely frozen there. But what I want to see is how we go to Bournemouth, because again, that's going to be in front of the Sky cameras. It's a Saturday evening game. If we can see the intensity of the weekend, then you could probably say, yeah, that's what you're after, King, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think looking at our next couple of fixtures, Bournemouth, Fulham, Villa, we're good enough to win those games, every single last one. And for me, I think another thing that I think has demonstrated our frailties mentally is when we know that we should be winning games and we go into them and we don't. And we got off to a good start here. Teams around us have already dropped points. We envisaged that we would be competing with Man United. They've not put a single point on the board. We envisaged that West Ham could be a dark horse, not put a single point on the board, not scored a single goal. We envisaged that probably Chelsea and Spurs would be our two biggest competitors. And as much as I would have loved Spurs to lose yesterday,
I wanted them to lose.
As much as I always love seeing Spurs lose. I tell you what, seeing that last-minute equaliser go in and watching the Chelsea fan base go into meltdown over the refereeing decisions and knowing that they both didn't get 3 points in that game to put us 2 points clear of them. These are the situations
Spurs
that
was
historically
so bad as well.
we've not capitalised on. You know, we look at where we were last season, 6 points ahead of them with 4 games left to play. Right? These, for me, the mental improvement will be shown when no one can give us a sniff like this and we don't capitalise. So Bournemouth's massive.
Yeah,
it's a massive game.
It is big. Oli, do you think, you know, we've obviously got the additions of Zinchenko and Jesus, obviously coming from a winning team. Do you reckon that's helped the rest of the squad?
Definitely, 100%. And I think Arteta's always talks about that. It's not just getting players in; it's getting players with the right mentality. And you know, the Prime documentary has been amazing. It's just seeing that on camera is for all to see. I just think it's brilliant. Even though obviously, come the end, we didn't get to where we wanted to be. And I guess that's what King's saying. It's all about that next step. I agree with what you're saying. It's like when we go 1-0 up, we should be trying to smash these teams 4 or 5-0. Obviously, Liverpool's and your Man City's are going to be different kind of games. But Bournemouth, we should be going there to look to score at least 3 goals. But, you know, the difference is now with Jesus, I mean, he's just a different class. Like, I mean, that goal he scored, that first goal he scored, I mean, there's only a few players in the league that can do that now. And I have that feeling, you know, like when Armoury was on the pitch, you had that feeling that even if things were going really badly, he could just score a goal out of nothing. And then sometimes that can give you what you need in the goal. I have that feeling when I see Jesus playing, and hopefully he'll continue it against Bournemouth. So,
I definitely had that feeling against Leicester. You know, when the Leicester scored those 2 goals, I wasn't worried at all. I felt we were fully in control of the game. You know, the Saliba goal, our own goal, was unfortunate. You know, that he had to do something, and he's going to learn from that. Because if he didn't go for that ball, it would have been for, you know, there on a plate for Vardy. So, and then the Maddison goal was, again, that was a fortunate goal. You know, sometimes they go in, sometimes they don't from that angle. And again, I wasn't even that concerned. And like a minute after, we scored both times. And so, you know, Gumsa, you know, you see how Arsenal are playing. You see there's this new mentality, especially with the Leicester game. Was you ever in any doubt?
Do you know what? On reflection of the game, no. But Arsenal being Arsenal, yes, if that makes sense. So it was a case of, oh no, not again. And then within seconds, we were back up again. So I think just of the element of what we've seen in previous years has me a bit worried at times, because it's like any moment now we could crumble. It could be a red card or it could be a sloppy goal, wherever it is. But the guys have shown the last 2 games that there is some steel. And from last season, there was a lot of steel and mentality. I think our biggest Achilles heel last year was once we lost one, we didn't jump straight back on the winning trail again. We went 2-3 games without winning. And I think that's going to be the big test for them, is when they do lose one, how they react. Because we have seen games where we've been down to 10 men and we got through, like against Wolves, tough games against Villa where we've managed to get through. So when it's going our way, we have got the strength. I can't think of too many games. I think Everton was one where I think actually Arsenal took the lead and then we threw it away. So I don't think we've done that as much, being like 1 goal up or 2 goals up and then throwing it away. So I don't think that's going to be our issue. I think it's more when we're losing, if we can get back to winning positions. I don't think we do that enough when we're behind. And again, if we do lose a game, if we can kind of turn that around, I think they'll be the 2 big tests for Arteta going forward. I think definitely when we're losing 1-0, if we can go back and get 3 points from that position. Because again, that was the Arsenal of old. It didn't matter if we conceded first. You knew Armoury would score 1, and then if someone else could pipe in with us another, there's a 2-1 win. So yeah, I think that's what we need to get back to. I think we've been pretty good defending leads, to be fair.
Only once last season we did it, didn't we? Against Wolves. That was the only one where we went down and we came back and won the game. So it's definitely something that needs to improve.
Yeah, so I think that's the big thing.
Yeah. King, you know, Gums has mentioned it there, where you know, we lose a game like last season, and then we'll go on a losing run. And this is what we want to see from this team now. So obviously we've seen during these games how they've managed to stay strong and stay in the game. But I want to see like if we do lose a game, how we come back the next game. We come back firing, you know, from all cylinders. Is that something you want to look for?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's definitely something that I want to look at. You know, like having that bounce back ability. I think Liverpool and City are the scariest teams to play after they've just been beaten, because we know what you can be on the receiving end of. You know, because they enact wrath, and those are the scary teams. You know, like the ones that on the odd occasion they do drop the ball, that you can just bet your house on coming back. You know, really in a strong fashion. For me, I think the main thing that I want to see, like on the mentality side, is in-game situations. I think, you know, what was mentioned there about when we go a goal down, you know, finding a way back, only doing that once last season, that's poor. And I think our record of doing that under Arteta is poor, very poor. I don't have the exact numbers, but I know it's poor. I want to see that bounce back ability in games. You know, like when we are a goal down, or you know, I think, as I mentioned with Palace, we were under the cosh, but then, you know, we probably would have taken a point given how they laid siege to our goal for 60 minutes, but then out of nowhere we find another goal. I want to see us do that more. You know, be able to score and put ourselves in a more commanding position, even when we're not at our best, to develop that ruthlessness in front of goal. And even when you look at the Leicester game, you know, Fofana had a good chance. Probably should have squared it. Would have scored if he did. They were starting to look like they were getting a foothold, and then out of nowhere, Jesus has put us in the lead. You know, I think, yes, we were dominating them for the most part of that opening exchange, but there was nothing really clear cut until that, really. So I want to see those two things. You know, like can we hold our nerve, and can we show bounce back ability when we go down, and can we create more from nothing? You know, because the mentality monsters, that's what they do. You know, like they can just create something out of nothing. You know, Liverpool, we were the better team against them for 60 minutes last season. You know, and they just created two moments out of nothing. You know, like for me, and well, history only remembers the winners in that situation. You know, Man City is the same thing. You know, we were the better team against them for the whole game, I think. You know, two moments of lapse of concentration defensively, Gabriel getting sent off, Xhaka giving away a penalty, and not holding our nerve to even take a point in the dying moments. I don't want to see that happen again.
That was the hardest one to take, I think, last season. That one.
Absolutely.
Tough.
That one, I was at the game in that one, and yeah, it was frustrating. However, it was a stressful one. But I think the Everton one was harder for me, because I think the City, I could take away the performance and say, do you know what? We've shown something we haven't shown in a long time. And City slapped us 5-0 earlier in the season. Like, they are Man City. So it was hard to take, but on reflection, I was like, do you know, I'm actually proud of the boys, how they stood up. The Everton game, that was one for me where there was no excuses for that. Do you know what I mean? That was shambolic. And yeah, again, if we've got to kind of, it's those games that cost us top four, isn't it? It wasn't the City, the Liverpool, even the Tottenham. You could kind of throw that one away if we had beat Brighton, Palace, Everton, like Southampton. There was so many of those games we dropped points. And yeah, I think that's the difference. I think turning them 13, is it 13 draws we got last season? Or 13 losses, sorry.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If we draw half of them, that's an extra 6-7 points. Do you know what I mean? Which more than took us into top four. So it is, again, it's about changing them defeats into draws and then draws into wins. And that's it's a 1-goal margin, isn't it? Don't concede one or score one more, and that could be really the difference with this team at the moment. And I don't think we're far off, and I think the players we've got in definitely help that. Again, I think just looking at the bench, when we talk about the strength and the mentality, I think you look at the bench also, and actually looking, just say you're up against it. If you're Gabriel and Saliba, and you look and you say, oh, hold on, here comes Tierney to come and fill in at left centre back, or here comes Ben White, or here comes Tommy Asim. We're going to bank it up with a bank of 5, and oh my gosh, here comes Nketiah to put some energy, or Smith Rowe. You look at that and it fills you with a bit more confidence. I think if you're on the pitch and you see those guys coming on, because you know the standard's not going to drop, the mentality, do you know what I mean? Everything about them substitutions are positive. Even if you are going to just see the game out, it's still a very strong player to bring off the pitch. And I think that makes a difference. Again, not disrespecting any players from last year, but sometimes if you look, just say Tavares is coming on, you're thinking, Jesus Christ, like, I've now got to watch.
He's banging in goals at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah, he's scoring like mad. But if you're saying you're Tierney, you're playing left centre back, and you're saying, right, Tavares is coming on, he's now got to think, right, I've got my role, but I've also got to make sure he's where he needs to be. He's doing what he needs to do. I've got to keep talking to him to make sure he's in the right positions. Whereas you've got Tierney coming on and you're Zinchenko, you're just sitting there like, this guy knows what he's got to do. Like, I haven't got to worry about him. I just focus on what I've got to do, and we're comfortable. So I think that makes a big difference as well for us. Like, and again, players' belief, if you see guys like that coming on the pitch, again, it's the same as Pepe. When Pepe comes on, if you're Tomiyasu, you'll be thinking, what Pepe am I getting in front of me today? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Whereas if it's a Smith Rowe or if it's a Martinelli coming on, you know, do you know what, this guy's going to put a shift in for me, and I can just focus on what I've got to do. So I think that also is going to have a massive part to play for us. But one thing I do think another striker or someone of that force coming on, just to give us a plan B. I think that's the only thing we lack. And I know King's been an advocate of not getting a winger, actually getting another striker and putting like Jesus and Nketiah can fill in on the wing. Because again, if you're playing a low block, we're losing 1-0 and you can't play through a team, you may have to go over the team and use a bit of strength. And do you know what I mean? You look at Jota, the goals he scores. Do you know what I mean? Chris, that doesn't have to be a good looking goal. It could be as scruffy as hell. Like Trent does. I can't say Trent picks out his crosses every game, but I think Trent knows there's going to be players in the box and I just got to put in dangerous areas and someone will, something happens. And I think
the 17th corridor, the corridor of uncertainty.
That's it. Yeah, and again, if you look at the header for Saliba and goal, wasn't a great header. Do you know what I mean? Was it like Ivan Toney's pass? He cut the whole defence, well, cut the Luke Shaw open and Maguire, whoever it was, and Martinez. But the Leicester goal, he's just headed it into an area and it's left Saliba uncertain because he doesn't know where Vardy is. And that's the kind of fear of that's the fear that Vardy put into him. It was you've got to deal with this ball, otherwise it's a problem, and it led to an own goal. So sometimes I think something a bit different, a bit of height, a bit more of a presence might make a big difference and add a bit still to our performance. But yeah, I can't grumble too much, man. I really can't.
No.
I hate that guy.
Yeah. Gary's telling you to stop. Just stop talking about him.
Yeah, he's all thorns in the backside, isn't he? But even now, I was actually happy Saliba scored an own goal rather than let Vardy score against us yesterday, because I can't deal with him scoring against me every game.
I think that's a good talking point. I think mentally, yeah, like when we play Liverpool, like given what Jota does individually and our record against them, like you saw on All or Nothing, you know, what Arteta did to try and think out of the box to get us to win that game. You know, playing You Never Walk Alone whilst they're training. Yeah. I think to show that mentally we are improved, I want teams to fear us. Because you're starting to see that a bit now. After our first couple of games, it was like, oh, it's pre-season and Jesus is the backup striker to a team that don't play a striker, and Zinchenko is just like, you know, another cast me off or hand me down from City. Now I'm starting, like when I do my TikTok lives or when I'm on Twitter in spaces, I'm starting to hear Tottenham and Chelsea fans be like, actually, you're starting to look scary again. You're actually starting to look scary. And I think Arsenal, what we need to do mentally to improve, if we go on a run now, those next 3 games I'm talking about, yeah, Bournemouth, Villa, Fulham, we win all of those and we win them comfortably. Yeah,
we got United, who are like
teams are going to start. Yeah, we go into that United game full of confidence. Yeah,
easy 3 points though.
And I think if we can do that, if we could actually develop that fear, not just from the teams below us, but the top 4 teams, the big 6 clubs. If we can get that fear factor back, because I'll be real, we ain't had that since Wenger.
Let's put it right. We hadn't had this Wenger of old. It's not the same Wenger because there was no respect.
When Chelsea, Man United, Liverpool, all these teams played us under Wenger, they feared us. They feared us. Yeah. And mentally, those games could be lost by those other teams before they kicked the ball, because they knew Armoury was the one guy that gave John Terry nightmares. Yeah, and he went on record and said that. Yeah, like I think to show the real mental improvement would be actually inflicting that mental misery, yeah, on anyone that comes to face us, especially when they come to the Emirates.
Yeah.
To have that ability, that air about us that teams are already defeated. We've already lost that game.
I do think we're creating that, because I look at. Sorry, King, I'm just going off what you're saying, because I agree with you. And what part of my thinking is, you know me, I'm looking at games differently sometimes and a bit more into it. And I think we're starting to, the fans might not say it yet, they might not know it yet, but I think opposition teams are starting to realise, because I'm watching how teams set up against us. I watched the Brentford breakdown yesterday against United, and they went man for man press. They didn't care. They didn't respect United. They said, we're going to go up against you. Your 2 centre-backs, I've got 2 strikers going at you. I've got my attacking midfielders on your DM. They went man for man. And that was how teams treated Arsenal 2 years ago. You remember we were trying to play out from the back, and the goal they conceded with Eriksen, the ball into Eriksen, it was very similar to the goal we conceded against Burnley when Xhaka kicked it against their player. Exactly the same setup. And that was because teams didn't respect us. Now, teams don't press us the same. And that's a fear factor to say, actually, we can't go man for man against Arsenal, because once they get out, it's a problem. So actually, we've now got to sit back into a bit of shape. And if you look at the line of engagement when teams are playing Arsenal, it's not where it used to be. Teams are now dropping off noticeably 10, 15 yards. And that's a fear factor. 2 years ago, teams didn't fear us. And they used to go man for man. Come on, let's do it. Whereas now, teams are starting to say, hold on a minute, we've got to sit into a bit of a shape. Let them come onto us and we're pressed from here, because we go touch tight. They'll open us up, and they've got lightning players at the top end of the pitch who are going to kill us. And United are where we were 2 years ago. And that goal, yes, it happened differently, but the setup was exactly the same as how Burnley set up against us when Xhaka hit it against their striker and he scored. Exactly the same. And when people are onto De Gea for the pass, I don't blame De Gea. I think Eriksen's got to do better in that situation, because they're trying to play out from the back. And if the ball out goes properly to Maguire, United are out. Whereas if De Gea gives it to Maguire, it's easy to press him there. So, yeah, United have just got to go through it, mate. I'm going to enjoy every moment, because it was horrible when we had to go through that transition. So, yeah, so I do think teams are starting to really fear us. And they'd be silly not to at the moment. They really would.
Yeah. Oli, how would you feel? We win 3 games. Bournemouth, Villa. Have I missed that up? That's why we've got Bournemouth. Then it's Fulham, Villa, both at home after.
Two back-to-back home games. Yeah.
How comfortable would you feel if we won those 3 games? We go to Old Trafford. United might have picked up the odd win. How would you feel going into that game? Because I'm pretty sure there was a moment last season that we were the favourites going into Old Trafford, and we saw what happened there. But will it feel completely different this time round?
It is a tough one, isn't it? Because how many times us as Arsenal fans have been like, right, yeah, Man United have got half a team out. Like, this is our chance. We're going to win it, like in the Ferguson days. And then, Park would have the greatest game of his life and score some wonder goals. And Nani would turn into Ronaldo or something. And we'd lose the game. So it might. Hopefully it won't go like that. But I do think, I do feel confident. Watching Tottenham yesterday, if they play like that against us, honestly, we'll wipe the floor with them. And what I've seen as well is Tottenham can only play one formation. We play 6 or 7 different formations throughout a whole game. That's just tactics these days. That if you've got a manager, and that's another thing to the mentality. Arteta's not thinking. When he first came in, Arteta went, right, this is what Ten Hag should have done. Like against Brentford, he should have stuck 5 at the back, stuck everyone back, get it to Ronaldo, hit him on the break. What did Arteta do when he took over? He was like, I don't have the players to do what I want to do yet. So that's how I'm going to play. Won us the FA Cup. Now he's got the players. He knows who he wants to do. He knows they're capable of doing it. And now we have that tactical capability throughout games where we can just go, right, this is not working. Let's put this player in. Let's change the 3 at the back. Let's go to 4-4-2. And you saw yesterday when Spurs did it, they just weren't capable of doing it. Like, I think Conte only likes that one system, and I think that's where we've got one up in terms of the mentality of our manager as well. He's got the confidence in the team and players that we can do that. So I think, yeah, we win the next 3 games. We really should be like what King was saying. We should be going to Man United and hoping to just literally give them a 4-0 hiding, but we know it never works like that. So we'll just take it game by game right now.
I think that's the key to it. It's not getting too carried away, but it's almost, again, it's putting that marker down, isn't it? Like, we could get past United still with won every game. That 7-8 games in, winning it all 8, that's a statement of intent, isn't it? Like, and I think King was touching on it before. We haven't got a run where we've got like 3 big teams in a row as such. Like, even if we come against Liverpool and lose, then we've got a favourable game the next game. So it's just that mentality to just get back on the road and just go again, isn't it? Like, yeah, we fell off that time, or we crashed the car, jump back in, get the rental, let's go again. Like, that's where we've got to get to. And that is the mentality. And it is a young team, isn't it? And I can't remember who was saying it on the stream before, but they said every time Arsenal kind of get into a good position, they kind of fall apart. And I think that was the mentality of the youngsters. We was happy chasing, but now when we were getting chased, we didn't really cope with the pressure too well. And I think that's going to be the key to this season, isn't it? It's, when we're behind, there's less pressure. When you're always in 5th, looking up at 4th, there's less pressure on you because even if you keep winning and they keep winning, you can't catch them. Whereas I think we was in 4th and 5th were looking at us, we then started to look behind us a bit too much, and it started changing up our stride pattern, and that ultimately cost us. So I think that's where the mentality comes in and the strength of the mindset, isn't it? It's reversing it. Yeah, when we're behind chasing, we're good, but actually now we're the target and they're coming for us. Can we cope with it? So I think Arteta's got enough about him, though. Like, watching him mentally, how he talks to the players. Again, I was watching the documentary, and I think majority of it, 95% of it's mental, really. Where his team talks, especially, isn't obviously they do the tactics beforehand, but everything in that change room, it's just mentality. The way when we get him beat, he doesn't really say too much, doesn't go at them. He kind of leaves, gives them that space. He gives them that, like, I believe in you lot. You lot are better than what today showed. So back on it we get. He doesn't kill them when they're down, and actually when they're not. Do you know what I mean? When we're winning, he sometimes is a bit harder. So yeah, I quite liked the way he dealt with it. So I think he's got the mental side of it very well, hasn't he? So yeah, I think we're in a good place. I really do.
Because I'm excited because what I've seen so far, and as you said, they are young guys, and that's including the manager. And he's got to take a lot of credit, Arteta, for the way we've been playing pre-season, how we've done our business, the profile of players that he's getting in. It's really, really encouraging. I just want to touch on something because obviously news broke this morning by Ornstein that Gabriel Jesus and Granit Xhaka are the deputy captains, if you like, to Odegaard. Obviously, we had the whole thing with Xhaka a few years ago. There's a lot of people Xhaka near the captaincy. How are we feeling right now? So I'm going to start on Xhaka, and then we'll go into this. So, King, you were very vocal about Xhaka on the armband on the floor. To hear the news that he will be getting the armband back as a deputy to Odegaard, how do you feel?
I'm gonna be honest. I love this guy. This is football, not ballet. I don't believe, like, for me, he is a symbol of our transformation. Yeah. Redemption stories and the will and desire for someone to be part of one is one of the most powerful motivators in life, not just football. And the All or Nothing series, the interview that he did at length last season, the upturn in his form. And me always knowing that in spite of my dislike for him and not wanting him to get back the armband, me knowing that he is a leader in that squad. He is, in all but name, like with the armband. I'm ready to go out on my shield for this guy. It seems crazy. But this guy is now becoming very much overhated. We're fixating on trying to replace him when Partey being injured was put us more at a detriment to us getting Champions League football than Xhaka's form did. And people aren't ready for that conversation. A lot of the younger generation of Arsenal fans are really not ready for that conversation. This man will die for this club. You can see that. Yeah, like, this man loves this club. He could have left. He could have taken the easy route out. And he stayed in the gauntlet. I got the utmost respect for this guy, man. And it's not just because he scored the goal the other day. You've heard dramatic changes in the way that I've been speaking about him for months now. Yeah, this is football, not ballet, and you need characters like that in the dressing room. You need big personalities. You know what? A lot of people were saying when he came out and spoke out against Newcastle about if you're not ready for these kind of occasions, go home. A lot of Arsenal fans took that personally, saying, "Who is he to say that?" Do you know what? Someone had to say it. Someone had to say it. And what it shows, yeah, that he would have the balls and the temerity to come out and do that. That is a leader. Leaders aren't always right. They're not always perfect. Yeah, they don't always make the right decisions. It's how they make those decisions and how they live by them and die by them. That's what a leader is. Yeah, and this young squad needs him. This fan base needs him. Like, and he's still out here taking bullets from us, man. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel sorry for him. I do, but I'm ready to leave the past where it is with Xhaka. In the past.
Yeah. I don't know if Silva's gone. Oli, do you want to go next or do you want me?
It's up to you, mate. It's up to
you go next and I'll wait.
Well, I was at that game, the Xhaka game. We sit in the North Bank, but in the upper tier, just at the front. And when it was going on, I looked at my dad and I went, what's going on? Who's booing? Like, the substitution was happening. We were really confused. And then obviously the whole thing came out. And I'm not going to lie, the weeks after that, I was really upset at the whole situation. It really got to me. I hated it. Like, it was so negative. It was probably, from where we are now to then, it was probably one of our lowest times as a club. And I sided with Xhaka on that one because I don't really blame him. He got frustrated, like we all do it. We've all done it in life, But I mean, that's just a testament to him. I mean, you see how well he's playing now, and you just think, well, you've got to give it to Mikel Arteta though, because he could have just been like, no worries, yeah, get him out the door, put his arm around him, and he's probably one of our most important players. Like, I'm trying to think the last game, maybe that City game, but he's had a few sendings off and that. But I'm trying to think of the last bad game he played where I was just like, well, Xhaka had a mare today. And a bit like what King said, it's a redemption story, and I think he's come across so well in All or Nothing, and just really happy to still have him at the club and bleeding for the badge, So yeah, big up to Xhaka, and when he wears an Arsenal badge, I'll always love him. So happy days.
Let's bring this one to Gumsa, because Gumsa, we know how you feel about him. Talk to him.
To be fair, I hear what both of them are saying. I do agree with Oli. His performances, and I've been saying it of late, his performances have been good. Nothing wrong with it. My issues with Xhaka is when we're not winning. I find him a coward on the pitch. He hides. When times where I need him to be the leader, he's letting Lokonga be the DM. All that there shows me that he's not the one for the armband. I would just let him focus on the football. I wouldn't even put him in the firing line. I've got no doubt he'll do a good job. I've got no doubt the players look at him as a leader. I think sometimes giving him that armband would just not say too much pressure for him, but it's just going to be a ticking time bomb in terms of if something goes wrong when he's got the armband, it's just going to bring the negativity back to him. And that's not his fault. And I applaud him for taking it and not hiding on this occasion. But I just feel sometimes there's choices we can make which would just help the team a bit. Like, there's going to be a section of fans who might not be happy with him having the armband. Straight away, that brings, it could be just say 30%. If something goes wrong, he's got the armband, then you're going to start hearing noises again. I said, I can't fault him on the pitch at the moment. He's been absolutely brilliant. I still think there's a lot better out there in that role. So I'm not going to get on the case of he doesn't need to be replaced or anything like that. I think he's doing really well, but I still think for the new role he's got, there is a lot better out there. And for me, I just wouldn't have gone back there, if I'm honest. I think, and again, it's not even a criticism of him. It's just sometimes you've got to move past things. He's got a big role to play within the squad and let him just do what he's doing. To put that back there again, for me, I'm just not really with it. Even the Jesus thing, I think I look at him again as a leader, but I'm surprised Tierney hasn't got that shout. And again, people are going to say Tierney's injured a lot, but that doesn't matter. Wes Morgan captained the club and didn't play a game all season. I say we'll see how it pans out. I'm not going to be negative about it. I just feel, do you know what I mean? Someone like Tierney who's been there for a bit, really and honestly deserved his opportunity if he wanted it. Again, we never know. Someone might have said you want it, he might have said no. Do you know what I mean? We never know. But yeah, for me, I'm not really too fond of the Xhaka one, I'll be honest with you. And again, there's nothing he's done. It's just I've seen his personality too often when we've been losing. Don't see nothing from him, if I'm honest. To maybe I said we were looking at Guendouzi as a young kid to come off the bench and help us, and the amount of times he bailed us out, picking up the ball, driving, determination, heart, doing things that weren't in his remit, just pulling us through the scruffs. He was like a 20-year-old kid at them times. Xhaka's next to him, not doing nothing. So, I'm not a fan of it.
Look, at all. I'll be honest, right? I see what we're doing, right? Leaders are very difficult to come by in the market. Usually, when you're buying someone and they're the club captain, it's by virtue of them either being their best or their most important player or both. Yeah. You want Declan Rice right now, you better bring your checkbook. Yeah. Who's City's captain? Gundogan, yeah?
Yeah.
You better bring your checkbook. You look at Liverpool, yeah? Van Dijk,
Henderson.
Henderson. Yeah. You better bring your checkbook, right? What Arsenal were doing, yeah, Tierney was captain at Celtic, and as captain Scotland. You know, Zinchenko, youngest captain of Ukraine. Odegaard, captain of Norway at 22. Sambi already captained Anderlecht. You got Saka, and I think Smith Rowe. The fact that they've come through the academy and have contributed so much to our transformation, by virtue of that, I think that they can emerge as leaders. Even when you're looking at players like Gabriel, Saliba, I see leaders. I see a leader in Saliba. You know, for him to come in, you know, off of the back of like the loan spell, you know, some of the stories about what he was doing in his spare time and all kinds of stuff, and to just come in and slot in. And when I went to watch us play against Sevilla, he was telling Gabriel White where to be a lot, you know, and so I see leadership there. These players need a bridge. They need someone to come in, you know, to just do it. Xhaka, he's what, 29, 30 now? You know, he's going to be there, what, you know, another couple of years max, maybe. By the time Xhaka's done, at least one or two of these are going to be ready. Yeah. And I think that's the way I very much look at this situation. Like, it's a right now situation. You know, like, we're not going to go out and buy a top team's captain at this stage. We're going to buy a lot of players that are going to improve us incrementally. And then these players, that's the whole core from even Ramsdale. You know, even this brother shows me some leadership qualities. The way he's communicating.
Yeah, I love that one.
Yeah. So if you go from goalkeeper to defense to midfield to attack, you're seeing leaders emerging in each department. And I think this Xhaka and Jesus situation allows them to emerge without pressure. Tierney, I don't think is ready. both in terms of where he is in his development and his fitness. I think he needs to focus on those two things. And I think every other player that I name needs to focus on their development, their player development. I don't like the fact even that Odegaard's the captain when he's still developing as a player. I think it puts massive pressure on him. When he passed instead of shooting against Palace, I'm going on Twitter and people are bringing into question after one game saying, "Oh, did him having the armband affect his decision making, and is he even that good?" This is what the pressure of being captain does, you know, at Arsenal Football Club. You are much more under the lens, you know, than the other 10 players that are on the pitch. So I think
and that's my reason. That's my reason for why I don't want Xhaka there, because we've only now seen him turn a corner in terms of playing without having any real pressure. He's defensively not being told you've got to be the last line of the midfield to defend. Partey's doing all the risky stuff of getting the ball off the back line. It's just literally Xhaka going. And he's doing it very, very well. He's doing it very well. And this is let him focus on what he's doing at the moment.
Yeah.
And look, we need someone else to deal with that.
I totally get that. Gumsa. But Xhaka's a developed player. Yeah, he's already at this developed stage. Yeah, so he can focus on that and just maintaining his form. I would rather that spotlight of captaincy is taken away from any player in our squad that is 25 years old or younger, because I want them to get to 26, 27 or closer to that level where they're playing at a peak level before they're given that armband. Like that for me is a good situation. Your danger, the danger that you've identified, Gumsa, I totally empathize with. But I think Xhaka trying and failing, would be less of a problem than giving it to one of these young players, them trying and failing, and then that affecting their development as a player.
I hear that. But again, maybe announcement wasn't needed. Maybe that's the key. Maybe it was just Odegaard's club captain, and then depending on who's playing in that game. So in-house, you might know, these are our leaders. And I'm not saying Xhaka's not a leader. I think he is a leader. But again, there's the leadership sometimes when you're on the front line is completely different than when you're in the change room, isn't it? And again, it could be, you could just say Bobby Holding's playing. He might be wearing the armband for a game. Do you know what I mean? It's almost, I think the announcement could just have maybe a little detriment on it. And yeah, for me, I just maybe want it. That didn't need to come out. I just don't think that needed to even come out recently. Unless he knows there's a game coming where Odegaard's not going to play and actually Xhaka's holding the armband. So do you know what? Let me tell everybody about it now before it happens on match day, and then there's a big hoo-ha. Do you know what I mean? It could be getting ahead of the curve.
I think revealing that on match day, if we were put in that situation suddenly, and then that was suddenly sprung on us as a fan base, and let's just say that match went wrong, that becomes heavily scrutinized. Now, what I've liked about the change in Arsenal isn't just the investment. Yeah, it's not just the fact that the Kroenkes are pulling their checkbook out. The All or Nothing documentary, Josh Kroenke's series of interviews, Edu's interviews. It's the transparency. It's the fact that they're not deciding to leave us out of the loop of certain elements of their decision making. And I just feel that this is another decision that we have every right to know about. You know, like in a situation where Odegaard's not captain, what's going to happen? Why should that be sprung on a fan base like that? Especially if it's Xhaka with his previous and his priors and his history, I can see why they brought that to the light, because that's absolutely something. Like for me, the transparency of how this club is operating and how it's being run is fundamentally key. That is something I don't want to see change. That's something I want to see enhanced. And for me, that's not a decision that I think me becoming someone who's admiring Xhaka now after, I've said I wanted him gone and I never wanted him to wear the armband again. There's some fans that haven't forgiven him. There's some fans that will never forgive him. There is some fans that will never forgive him. So to have that kind of decision just thrusted upon them, in the heat of the moment, I think that's got more of a danger to damage the relationship the club is rebuilding with the fan base again.
I hear you. I understand that. Like as I said, my thing is I just would have. That's me personally. I would have just kept him. And you know me, I'm 1 for redemption. So we just said I've had the conversation with Guendouzi. He would have been my captain going forward, and I would have given him more leadership because I think he's someone he needs that to keep himself in line. Like you can see, he's a quality player, but his mindset he needs channeling a certain way in order to get the best out of him. Once he's left to kind of wander, he then creates a madness. So people like him, you need to give them extra responsibility. Yeah, for me, it's just again we saw what happened when someone went to give Xhaka the armband last season.
I would never give the armband to Quincy.
You're mad. That is my club captain.
And you know what? He's come out and already started fights with their new manager.
Because he needs to be involved. That's why. I work with kids, so a lot of what I do is about channeling. I said, you know my job. My history is I work with kids who are on the verges. You know what I mean? I work with kids with autism, a lot of them with behavior issues, low self-esteem, and a lot of the issues I get with them, actually, if you give them some responsibility to do, all of a sudden they become the best students in the classroom because they need guiding. He's one of them. You leave Guendouzi to roam around, he's a nightmare. And I work with kids like that. You leave them to be, I'm telling you now, you don't want them nowhere near your classroom. I'm telling you,
it would be a risk.
In a way,
it would be a risk.
Give them responsibility. They're your guys. So, but yeah, for me, Xhaka, yeah, again, it's just for me, it's just not like you to move on from him now. Like he's doing what he's doing really well. I just, and again, I'm not going to boo him or anything like that. If I'm at a game and he wears the armband, cap him the same way. And I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm not saying Arteta got it wrong, by the way, either. You don't know my views. Arteta done the right thing in getting him out of there. I miss the guy, yes, but we've done the right thing. So I'm all for what Arteta's done. But I just feel some players you need to manage a different way, and he's one of them. But yeah, in towards the Xhaka, I feel we just need to move past that. Like, let him keep doing what he's doing for the club and move forward. But I'm with you, King. I understand about the transparency. We're in a new era of Arsenal, and I do agree with it. I do think it's good. But equally, captain doesn't always have to be on the pitch. Like someone like they were saying in the dressing room, El Nene is one of the best in the dressing room. So, same as Cedric Suarez. I think a few players have come out and said how good he's been in the dressing room. So yes, we're not seeing everything. Do you know what I mean? They will probably have their selections, and that's probably what's giving it to Xhaka is the players. And I'm not against that, but I just feel so.
I think what we've seen. I think it's the reason why it's come out now, and we've all seen the last 6 episodes of All or Nothing, and it's how much the team look up to Xhaka. So it might be the players as well nominating him because they always have done. That's never been a secret. And there was an episode that was pretty much focused on Granit Xhaka himself. You know, his family life, and he spoke in depth about the way he plays and that. And I think this is why this has come out now, because it wouldn't be as rowdy if we hadn't seen that as it is now. It is now. I think it's down to the players because they do like to have the old little vote thing, didn't they? They do look up to him. Jesus, I think he's been given the role because of where he's come from, and I get it. I've never been one for strikers to be captains anyway, but I get it. And yeah, we could probably go on forever on this one. I just think that with Xhaka, he's still going to have his doubters at the end of the day. But what we're seeing from him now, ever since he got sent off against Man City, we've seen a completely different player. We've seen a player that is taking a bit more responsibility. You see it with his interviews and that. And I'm not too upset about it. I thought he was one of our best performers as well on Saturday. And we saw Granit Xhaka that we saw at, who plays for Switzerland and played for Mönchengladbach. He was in that box how many times? And he was well deserving of a goal as well. And I think he's still maturing. I know he's 29, 30, whatever, but he's still maturing because he's the kind of character that he is. And with the players around him, the guidance under Arteta, I think he is improving a lot. So
is he the captain of Switzerland as well?
He is the captain of Switzerland still, yeah. So he's got the leadership qualities there as well. So I'm not too upset about it. I can understand why other fans are. I get it completely. But I think that I think we need to trust in this process, because what we're seeing on the pitch, we're getting results now. I don't like, just look. As you know, I've made my thoughts clear over the last year since we launched the Armoury. That I could never see past that incident. But to be honest, understanding the man a bit more, making content, looking at the club more closely, and looking at how complicated his relationship is.
he wants that that connection with the fan base, and he spoke about it in his interview. He said,
you know, he didn't.
Yeah, he said, I would absolutely love to have, a good relationship with him. Like, for me, I remember being at that Wolves game when we won it, and I think I've said that's the closest I've seen to Highbury levels of energy in the Emirates Stadium since I've been to the Emirates Stadium, and it's been there for over a decade in replacement of Highbury. And I saw video clips, right, of the fan base waiting for his signature. Like usually I've seen sometimes where he's had to just drive off, like or sort of have the windows light up so he can't be seen. And genuinely, I can't put it into words. Like it's the biggest transformation story that I can ever feel I've experienced with an Arsenal player. Like, and it's not just the way he's playing. He wants more ownership, and he's taken it. The fact that he didn't take the armband in that moment showed he was thinking about us and what our reaction would be. Yeah, most people would have just taken it, been like, "Oh yeah, I'd love to be captain." Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I want to be the man. But he was like, "No, how would the fans react to this?" Like this man puts us in his thoughts more than we give him credit for. When he has a good game, because we can't see past it, we try and talk it down. And and all this talk this summer has been about we need a replacement for him. Yes, we need quality and he needs competition. I get that. But just going on as if this guy's a bum in our team is I don't know, man. I just feel like the agenda's never going to die with him. But I feel that's why he should be the leader, because he has to live with that responsibility. He has to walk that tightrope, and that means he has to put himself above the reproach of all the other players. That fundamentally is a leader. Do you get what I mean? Like whether we want to accept it or not, for him to be held to a different standard to all of his other fellow counterparts, and when he's already, very authoritative, and he's the one that's communicating on the pitch. So I've watched games where they give him a pitch camera, and he's the most vocal one. Like in training, you're hearing accounts from other players. They're saying he's the one that is vocal and that is directing them. So I just think it's time.
Yeah.
Like we need a symbol, someone that symbolizes the transformation that this club is going under. And who better than him?
No,
Guendouzi. Let's get Guendouzi back.
Let's we've got over some time now. I want to go through some of the comments and then look to wrap things up. But
can I say one more thing though, Tony? Just one for 20 seconds. So also, my phone overheated, it cut out, so I just had to get some fresh air to it. But it's just little things again with Xhaka which wind me up. It was the interview last year when we failed to meet our targets, and he come out and said, "Well, I had a good season." It's stuff like that which, for me, I can't have you as my captain. It's like his mentality is very Ronaldo-esque of how he looks at himself sometimes, and he kind of separates himself from the team and things like that. Is what, if I'm looking at that as another player, I'll be fuming, because as much as yes, he did have a good season for us that year. He's still part of the problem, which didn't qualify for top four. So separating yourself from our failures, for me, is not a leader. It's someone who stands up and says, we wasn't good enough. I wasn't good enough. Do you know what I mean? Not, I had a good year. Like that, to me, doesn't warrant a leader. And that's a big part of why I don't want him in there. All too often in interviews, he hides and, do you know what I mean? Stuff like that. He puts the blame everywhere else but himself. And he's a big part of your centre midfield. You're a big part of that team. And if you look at Partey, on the other hand, when he was having a bad season, he's come out and said, I'm not performing well. I know I could set my standards. And from that moment, he improved. He never blamed anybody else. He took full responsibility for his performances, and we've seen a different party since then. So, that's my thing with Xhaka. He's got that Ronaldo about him, where I don't think that's always good for the club. Do you know what I mean? It's very much about himself and how he looks, rather than.
I would say though, watching us play though, Partey, like I get what you're saying. Like in his behaviour,
I don't think Partey should be captain either. He seems to be right for me.
like yeah, in his behavior, he took ownership. Like that's a big part of leadership. But yeah, like I think like for me, my favorite types of captains are the ones that are the best communicators that people look to for answers. The ones that are able to delegate responsibility through that communication. And I'm sorry, I don't see as much as if I sent myself back a year ago from the future and was saying all of these things to my former self, I would slap myself in the face. Yeah, but let's be real. Let's be real. No one does that in this squad like how he does. You know, like who can delegate really well through their communication and has that air about them in training and in the dressing room that the young players look up to. I've heard Smith Rowe say it. I've heard Saka say it. I've heard Sambi say it. I've heard Tavares say it. Do you know what I mean? And more of a fringe player has said it. He obviously won the vote in the first place, which is how he got the armband. I'd rather trust the players and the manager, you know, than rather dictate to them and tell them who their leader should be. They should figure that out amongst themselves. You know what I mean? It's them that's got to go on the pitch with him. It's them that have got to look to someone on the pitch somewhere for leadership, and it's the manager that has to live or die with that decision. So
I think
let's not forget also he twerked for Roma last year. When it wasn't going great, he was twerking for Roma, and now everything's on the up, as I said. Now he's there in it. So for me, he would never get my vote. But I'll move on. I'll leave it there. Thank you and good night.
I'm looking forward to seeing our best ever captain in club history go on to Strictly Come Dancing. I've never watched it before. I've never thought it was a great show, but I'm going to watch it and I'm going to vote for Tony Adams to win Strictly Come Dancing because I love that man.
You can add that to his winners medals, man. Add that to his very distinguished cabinet of accolades, bro. You know what I mean? He deserves it. Yeah, I had the pleasure of meeting him as well, man. That's my first memory of Arsenal captain, bro. Like that's the gold standard. Do you know what I mean? But
he's the best ever. There'll never be.
Yeah, I think Vieira came closest, but no, Adams is absolutely. To this day, man, when I go to the stadium, when I go to the Emirates, I always obviously, you know, come over the bridge, come through the Arsenal train station. I never go around the front because the very first thing I do is I walk to that man's statue. I just like, bam, real kiss on it for good luck, man.
Love that.
Love that, man. Tony Adams, man.
The man. Listen, we could have gone on forever on Xhaka. The way we were talking,
we should have made it a separate show, man.
It was a Xhaka podcast.
Pretty weird, yeah.
It was like he was named club captain, but it was only about him being deputy.
He's not even the real captain. He's the club captain.
No, but listen, this is the thing with Xhaka. He's everyone's got an opinion on him, and you know, there probably is no right or wrong opinion on him, to be honest with you, because he is like Marmite. You either love him or you don't. But I think he's winning people over. I really do. Let's run through some of these comments before you have quickly. You don't want him anywhere near the club. Thank you very much. G Talks. I still don't think we have an out-and-out perfect player for captain. Odegaard isn't the long-term answer for me. As King said, lots of potential leaders in the making. There is. I think, with Odegaard, he does, he is the captain of Norway. He has been for 3 or 4 years now. And I think he was probably the only option that we had, with the squad that we got at the moment. I think it was probably the most logical one. And you know what? He could probably grow into it. So, and he is quite vocal. So I have a problem with it. I can't understand where G Talks is coming from, though.
Could been Tierney if he didn't get injured. I think if it hadn't become apparent that injury is going to be a problem for him going forward, no doubt it would have been him.
Definitely. Gary says Jesus showed what leadership looks like immediately when he stepped onto the pitch. Up 1 versus Leicester City. Jesus was talking to everyone and pushing forward. Missed opportunities. Versus Crystal Palace was on his teammates as well. Yeah, and he was, and it does show. But where he's come from. He's coming from a winning team, and he's going to share that with the rest of his team. He's going to inject it into the squad, and we're seeing that. We're seeing that. Jesus' talk after the first goal is the main reason team responded after the Leicester goal. He could argue, but look how quick he was to pounce on that ball for Xhaka to slot home. I mean, look, that was just so instinctive, wasn't it? Arsenal have shown they will improve positions when they're ready. Ramsdale was a surprise to us, or just me. It was a surprise to many people. Look, you're looking at a goalkeeper that got relegated with 2 teams back to back, and we're all scratching our heads. But look, I gave him a chance, and he shut a lot of people up, and that's all you want as a fan. Moving Xhaka up the pitch just helps him stay on the pitch, not broke. No, but listen, he seemed really, really good. He was up there, and when we're in the ascendancy, it's fine. Xhaka can be there. It's just maybe he's defending and he still needs to work on a little bit, but he's not been too bad. One touch, Nigerian Englishman. I am one of those fans, Gunnar. This is stupid. We need to move past Xhaka leadership. Odegaard needs to step up and take control of his team too. And I think Odegaard he does split some opinions. But it's like was it Gary that said that who's actually who can you actually see as the club captain? Because we talk about Xhaka, but that you've seen what's happened there with this conversation alone today. So I think Odegaard was probably the only option, but he does need to. I think he does need to be a bit more vocal. Do you want to add to that?
I think he'll come into his own. I think he will just do it naturally. He's not like we talked about Adams, but he's not that kind of captain. He's more lead by example. I think when he starts scoring goals and getting more assists, and he'll just grow into that captain role.
Yeah. Senior Subdivider says Xhaka has told many times he'd love for the fans to be more involved, to see them training. We only see 90 minutes plus extra documentaries, which are still heavily edited. And do you know, he has said that, and that's what I like about it, Xhaka. We spoke about it. I'm only going to end up echoing what we've just been talking about. There's a lot of conversation going on between people here. Brenny's saying that you are seeing Xhaka performing now because he knows that if a CM comes in, he'll have to make way. And it's all about competition. And Arteta said it himself. He wants competition all over the pitch, and that's how you're going to get the best out of these players. So if we keep doing that, if we got the window shuts in a couple of weeks, we ideally want to see another centre midfielder, maybe 2. We definitely want to find that back up to party.
Have you seen we've been linked with that Caicedo guy from Brighton?
Sorry?
We've been linked with that Salcedo guy from Brighton.
Oh, I thought you midfielder. Okay, all right. We'll have to keep an eye on that.
Bullied United, man. Twice.
He doesn't bully United. Arsenal have improved in every position with Xhaka since he arrived. Time will come, but there's no reason to rush. No, I agree, but I think we do. I'm with you, King. I definitely think we need to get another striker, but again, that's for another stream. And you've touched on that many times before. I think I'm going to wrap it. There's so many comments to go through. I'd love to go through them all, but we have been going on for some time now. Canez is digging us out because obviously we started a bit late. He was obviously getting ready to watch us, and then he gave up. But he's come back now. Good to see you. I hope you had a good time in Dubai, mate. Hopefully we'll see you on the channel soon, very, very soon. But we'll finish on Canez's comment here. Captains today ain't what they used to be. The captain's roles changed. You will no longer get your Vieiras, your Adams, your Keanes, or your Stuart Pearces. And he's right. You think he's right. The game has changed. And but listen, we'll probably have to do a captain stream because we've gone well into captains, and we could probably go on for another hour. That's for sure. Thanks for tuning in, Gary, over there. I know it's early morning for you, so thank you very much, and everybody else that's been in the comments. If you're not subscribed, please do so. Give this stream a like. It definitely helps the channel out. We've got some exciting stuff coming up. King, do you want to tell the people what you got coming up this week?
Yeah, so I'm starting 2 new shows. First one is going to be with fans from the other teams that we're competing against for the top 6 spaces. I think I may rotate the panel. like on a week basis or every couple of weeks, just to get like different fans' takes from other clubs, maybe, and maybe like just have another Arsenal fan on, like host that space. But yeah, we're going to see how that goes as the season develops. The other one is more centered around fantasy football. My FPL team is flying at the
I'm not
moment.
far behind you, mate.
Yeah, well, I mean, you will be when Salah bags tonight, mate. He's
I'm
my
gonna have
captain.
to do nothing because I got Nunes.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I think, yeah, I wanted to do just like a little segment for that once a week as well. It's
So
looking
make
like
sure
it.
you hit that notification bell so you do not miss it.
Yeah, it's looking like it'll be Tuesdays and Wednesdays, like respectively, that those shows will be running in the evening. But yeah, definitely stay tuned. There'll be a lot more news on that to follow.
Excellent, excellent stuff. And look out for Oli on the FTP channel with his Muddick comedy show. It's a great watch. Tell the people about it.
Yeah, we try and take a not very serious look on take on football. Try and have a bit of a laugh. So if you want to tune in, have a laugh, when we just kind of dissect anything really funny that's happened in the week, then check it out. It's usually Thursday nights. I think we're going to have another one on Thursday night. And I'm thinking I might do footballers that look like pirates. I'm really into pirates at the moment, so I might just, do a little bit on that. We'll see how we go with that. And so if you guys have any
Robert Pires, man, back in the day, man.
No, he's great. That's a good one.
And the long hair, mate. That's my first nomination.
Head Dead FTP. It's a funny show. Led by the main man himself there, Ollie. It's brilliant. You got to check it out.
Cheers, guys.
But yeah, we're going to leave it there. Thanks for Gumsa. He's obviously he's driving now, so he's disappeared. Gunner King, Ollie, thanks for joining me. It's been a great discussion. Like I said, we could have gone on, but I just haven't got the time. But anyway, yeah, please do like, share, subscribe, all that great stuff. As King said, there's stuff coming up this week. Then obviously we've got the previews and reactions to the Bournemouth game. So make sure you are locked. I've been the Silva One. I've changed my name now. I'm the Silva One, and I'll catch you guys very soon. Thank you very much for watching. Cheers.